Welcome to this week's Renaissance Man podcast and column. Like I told you, I'm going to bring you some of my favorite voices, personalities, and multimedia, politics, and entertainment. Today is one of my all-time favorite. And I told her this when I got a chance to meet her, the First Lady of Miami, Ana Navarro. Thank you for joining me.
Well, are we going to tell them what you were wearing when we met? We're going to tell them you were in a bathrobe and a straw hat and flip-flops with socks. By the way, this was not in a bedroom. This is not Charlie Rose. This is not Harvey Weinstein. He was actually broadcasting his show. You know, you got to be careful.
Was clearly
about what you say.
That was clearly my day job. You see, now it's professional. I look like I'm in an art studio. I got a haircut. I got on frames. I got you on the show. I had to step my game up.
You're looking good.
That's mutual. So I must ask you, what are some of your favorite memories or traditions growing up?
Well, let me tell you, I lived in Nicaragua until I was 8 years old, came here because there was a communist revolution, and I had a pretty gilded childhood, interrupted by a civil war and a communist revolution, and then came to exile, settled in Miami. And so what are some of my favorite memories? I think I love Thanksgiving more than anything. First, because I think it's the best food of any holiday and the most food of any holiday. And, for the longest time, I thought it was a saint. I thought Americans were celebrating some sort of saint that I'd never heard about, Saint Gibbon, because right. And the reason I love it so much is because it is a uniquely American holiday. You don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Nicaragua. You don't celebrate it in England. You don't celebrate it you celebrate it in America, in the United States. And so I think when you finally understand what Thanksgiving is, it's really significant. It's really meaningful.
It's one of my favorites too, because we also get a chance to fellowship with those that we love, share potluck dishes, and not expected to exchange gifts.
Right.
Not like on birthdays, like on Christmas, people are expected to buy, purchase, and exchange gifts.
Now, let me ask you this, because let me tell you. So Hispanics have made Thanksgiving their own, right? Like a Thanksgiving in Miami invariably has black beans and plantains, and oftentimes the turkey gets covered in bacon so that it tastes like pork. Why eat turkey when you can eat pork?
Exactly.
What do you do?
Oh man, so my favorite is deep fried turkey. Well done. Just is my favorite. In
now,
particular,
can you actually do it?
I can't physically deep fry or make it Cajun just yet. I cook, but not that well, because you can burn up something.
Having long ass arms, if you can't use it to fry.
I'm getting challenged. Yes. I need to step my game up. You're exactly right. And here's another thing I must admit about my halfway cooking, since you called me out. I make chicken, I make ribs, I make whatever, but I don't really make sides. So you're right. I got to step it up.
Okay, when you come to Miami, I'm going to give you some cooking lessons just on sides, but it's your job to fry a turkey, because it's something that I don't expect to get done in my house unless somebody like you with long arms comes over. My husband is so accident prone.
I would love to take lessons. Absolutely. How did you get started in the politics?
You know, I think that I think we all are who we are, plus
Mhm.
our experiences, our life experiences. My life experience, as I told you, included fleeing uh, the home country I was born in because of a revolution. And I think when that happens so early on in life, you go one of two ways. Either you want nothing to do with politics, or you realize how much politics matters, how much democracy matters, how much being engaged and informed and involved
Mhm.
matters, and you don't take it for granted. And so for me, it was the latter. And I live in this community in Miami, which is a highly political and politicized community. It's one where there's a constant influx of waves of immigrants, whether it be Cuban Americans or Nicaraguans. There are a lot of Colombians and Venezuelans,
Mhm.
now Haitians. And so it's this melting pot of recent arrival immigrants fleeing political strife and persecution. And I think I grew up with that as a background. And I started like like you often start in politics when you're not like the child of a politician,
Mhm.
and get something handed to you. I like Ivanka Trump, I started volunteering in campaigns,
Praise.
right? Volunteering in campaigns and licking envelopes and making phone calls. That was back in the days when there was actual phones. We're talking the 90s. Um,
Mhm.
and then I got involved in some local campaigns, some federal campaigns, statewide campaigns for Jeb Bush, who was running for governor. And we became friends. And I guess the culmination for me was being part of the presidential campaign for
Mhm.
John McCain. That's the big leagues, right? That's like the world
Yeah.
championship
Mhm.
of politics, when you are involved in a presidential campaign. And I loved John McCain. He was a mentor and a hero.
Mhm.
And so that's how I got involved. And then after the McCain campaign, Jalen, I kept getting called by networks to be on.
Mhm.
And one day I realized this is really taking up a lot of time and energy and preparation, and they need to pay me. And I think it's a lesson for us all, right? Because so often, look,
Preach.
people will
Preach.
will get, as long as people can get you to do things for free, they will. And so I asked, I said, you guys got to pay me. And to my shock, they did. And that's opened up a bunch of other opportunities and other platforms and things I'm doing now.
I'm glad you went there because your intellect and your voice is what helped me craft the theme for this episode. And it's called Don't Predict the Future,
Hmm.
Create the Future. What do you see in your future?
There's a bunch of and I'm superstitious as shit, so I'm not gonna tell you. I mean, I'm a superstitious Hispanic. Don't think that I'm gonna spill the
That the
beans.
contract is already signed and
Right.
they've already paid you the first payment.
And it's dry. The ink is dry. There's a bunch of different projects that I'm working on. Really, I think it's more. It's about for me now. It's what happens post Trump, right? For anybody involved in the political field, Trump has been the elephant in the room, figuratively and literally,
Mhm.
for the white elephant, orange elephant in the room, for the last 4 years. And um, and it feels different since in the last 70 days. It feels I can go hours now without looking at the news or looking at Twitter without feeling that if I without having separation anxiety from my phone.
Mhm.
um but as your theme of not predicting the future, creating the future, I give a lot of speeches in colleges and many other places, and I really like speaking at universities because I think it's really neat to be with really smart young people.
Yes.
But they always ask me, how do you get on TV? How do you do this? How do you do that? And I think too often people want the shortest route from point
Yes.
A to point B.
Yes.
And that invariably means you lose these amazing detours. And so I think as I don't try to predict the future. I mean, if you had asked me a year ago to predict the future, none of us would have predicted the last year we've had. And so I've kind of learned my lesson on predicting the future. I think what's important is to have your eyes and ears open and your heart open and be very aware of the opportunities that may arise along the way.
A lot of cities in America are seeing a cultural and economic shifts. How do you see Miami changing after
Well,
the pandemic?
my God, there's so many New Yorkers here. I feel like I might finally
Yeah.
be able to find a decent bagel. Um,
What about pizza?
Oh man, I do think that it's changed the demographics because a lot of people who lived in places like New York and New Jersey and Connecticut up east realize, that you can get more bang for your buck property wise in Miami, and why be paying thousands of dollars a month to live in a janitor's closet when for about the same money in Miami you might even be able to get a pool um, and be outdoors. And I think some of these changes of the pandemic are here to stay. I think we're going to be doing much more remote work, all of us. I mean, you've seen me. I don't know what the hell I'm going to do the day I have to put Spanx on again. They need to give me about 3 months notice because right now I need Spanx to get into my Spanx. And I don't know, I don't know if the New Yorkers and the folks who've moved here recently, it's impossible. Real estate has become impossible for Miamians, and getting their kids into school and things like that has become very competitive. I don't know if they're gonna stay. I want to see what happens once Broadway reopens. Once once Maria and the Central Park eateries reopen, and they see the size of the mosquitoes in Miami in June and July, and they get their first hurricane alert on their phone. I want to see if they're still here next,
Yes.
or if once Broadway reopens and things get a little bit more normal, they go back.
That hurricane life is real Miami. Gotta have
People
those
spending
shutters.
a lot of time here.
Yes, that's real Miami life. And and I know what I wanted to also ask. So you're known in the world of politics, and I've seen you on various shows. And as I mentioned to you, I'm a fan of yours and your voice and your range and versatility. But as a guest host on The View, you cover a multitude of topics. What is it like for you stepping into the area of pop culture and just the coworkers that you get a chance to work with each and every day?
The pop culture thing for me is hard because I'm a political nerd. I live in a political bubble. And so a lot of times we have these, pretty big artists showing up, and I got no idea who they are. And I have to go, I have to go Google them and ask people how you pronounce their names. And I literally don't know what they've been in. And then the producers will go, oh, she's the one that was in X, Y, or Z movie. Of course, I haven't seen X, Y, or Z movie. I really haven't started watching movies until this last year, stuck at home, watching all sorts of things. So that part for me is hard, and it stretches It stretches kind of my comfort zone. There's only so much I can come up to say about Kim Kardashian. Even though, let me tell you something, I have enormous respect for anybody who can turn an ass into an asset. I really respect them enormously.
Yes.
And so
multiple billions.
Yeah, a lot of billions. And so that's hard. As far as the folks I work there on The View, listen, can you imagine what it's like to wake up in the morning and work with somebody like Whoopi Goldberg?
Legend.
EGOT.
Icon.
EGOT. I tell people all the time, EGOT, Emmy, Grammy, Oscar, Tony winner. And she's so wise, and she's so generous with her time, and she's funny. And she
crazy sports fan too.
Right. But I'm not. So that's the other thing that's hard for me. Like, when we have to give Super Bowl predictions and I don't know who the hell's playing in the Super Bowl.
I got you. I got you.
I can call you for that?
Absolutely.
People wanted me to fill out a March Madness bracket. No.
I got you. That's what friends are for. You talk to the great Miami restaurants. I fill out the brackets and things like that.
I don't even believe in that because I get, one time Isiah Thomas filled one out for me. He's a very good friend of mine, as I've told you. He's almost like a brother, and his bracket sucked.
Correct.
It was like
everyone does.
He says it was the only year it was that bad. But and then you got people like Joy Behar who are funny and who've been around so long and have so much institutional memory and such breadth of experience. I mean, Whoopi Goldberg was raised in the projects. Whoopi, has had ups and downs in her life and in her career. Joy was she was a teacher. She, her first job was as a teacher. Didn't start comedy and show business until much later in life. Sunny Hostin, who brings such a needed voice to the table right now. Talking about racial equity or inequity, rather, putting into perspective so many of the legal issues we are watching, and not being afraid to represent. I think a lot of times when there's there's somebody who's Black or brown or Asian or whatever you fill in the blank on TV, people kind of some people want to put it down. Oh, it's identity politics. Oh, this and that. No. And I hope there comes a day when we don't feel the need, the weight of having to represent, but when people's necks are being stepped on for 9 minutes and 29 seconds until they stop breathing.
Yes, George.
When there is no equity in the workplace, when we see the things that we have seen, when somebody drives hours to hunt down Latinos in a Walmart in El Paso because they are inspired and triggered by the words of a xenophobic leader, you better believe we have a duty, and it's a privilege to be able to represent. So it's something that I think Sunny does with great, with great grace. Frankly, she does it with elegance and grace.
Well said, and I totally agree. So much so, I'm going to not only be honored to post this podcast, but I'm going to write a column about this interview in the New York Post, frame it and send it to you. I'm going to absolutely do so because it means so much that you took the time. But before I let you get out of here, I do a rapid fire segment called Gone in 60 Seconds. Are you ready, Ana?
Dale.
Let's get it.
That's what Pitbull says. Dale.
Your favorite musical artist from Miami?
Gloria Stefan.
Legend. Miami athlete of all time.
Well, I'm not counting LeBron James, okay? Because he left us.
I agree.
So I am going to go. Yeah, I'm going to go with Alonso Mourning. I love that guy, and he's done so much for the community. He and his ex-wife Tracy.
Yes, I love those so very much as well. Ladies' night, once everyone gets vaccinated, where are you going?
Anywhere but my house. I mean,
land in
anywhere, I
Miami.
would go anywhere where I can get served and somebody else can clean up the dishes. I am sick of making my own margaritas.
Favorite restaurant in Miami?
Oh, I love stone crabs. I go to Joe's when it's in season a lot. I'm also lately, I've been going to this little place. It's kind of in the, it's in a neighborhood I wouldn't usually.
Yes.
I never thought there would be this kind of restaurant. It's inside a museum. It's called Leku, and it's Basque. Jalen, it's so good. It's so good. You really got to stop talking to me about food because I'm trying to lose some damn weight because I'm going to have to get out of this house at some point. And they're going
this
to
show
have
is
to
about
move
politics, fashion, travel. That's what this show is about. And finally, your most expensive purchase that you have zero regrets in buying.
My husband. That dude's a diva. I mean, I mean, he is, that man ain't cheap. I tell you, he's got his closet is like if he was a basketball player. I tell him all the time, you are not an NBA coach, okay? There is no reason why you have these many suits. You're not Pat Riley.
Eric Spoelstra.
No, you're not. Get up. Oh hell no. Listen, I make no apologies. I like my Maserati, and I like it a lot. I like cars that go boom. So I bought an adult car at one point. A sedan, one of these cars that's expensive, leather sedan, all this thing. Even it was like
medium lane.
It was like green. It was a sensible, color. And so I bought this sedan that made no noise and was so comfortable. You couldn't even feel that you were driving. I didn't know when the thing was on or the thing was off.
It was a spaceship.
And you can't make
close the door. You can't hear.
You can't make a dramatic exit. You can't get pissed off and peel away. So I went back to the sports cars.
Road rage isn't the same without a sports car, and you work so very hard. You deserve all of the best. Thank you very much for joining me. It's an honor to have you on.